When you claim your Africanness, you're going to get your mind back. Black and I'm proud. Black and I'm proud. When you claim your Africanness, you're going to get your mind back. Black and I'm proud. Claim your Africanness. Black and I'm proud. I'm telling you. When you claim your Africanness, you're going to get your mind back. Black and I'm proud. Claim your Africanness. Black and I'm proud. I'm telling you. When you claim your Africanness, you're going to get your mind back. Black and I'm proud. Claim your Africanness. Black and I'm proud. I'm telling you. Become a part of it. Embrace it. 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 When you claim your Africanness, you're going to get your mind back. Black and I'm proud. Claim your Africanness. Black and I'm proud. I'm telling you. When you claim your Africanness, you're going to get your mind back. Black and I'm proud. Claim your Africanness. Black and I'm proud. I'm telling you.
Peace, 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 and power, family. Dr. Dennis Ausar Winkler back at you again. Doc in the box. Doc in the box with Sister Queen of B. Speak to the family, Queen.
What's up, family? It's Doc in the box. This is episode 3, season 1. Dropping now. Are Black women aggressive? Y'all know I got something to say about that.
All right. Well, you said you got something to say about that, huh?
Oh, you know I got something to say about that for sure.
I'm looking for that fruitful conversation. You know what I mean? I'm looking for the fruitful conversation, the conversation for we can grow, all of us. You know what I mean? I'm not saying I'm the only one that can help grow, but hopefully we can dialogue and somebody can grow out there, get something out of this broadcast today. Let's do it, Queen. What's happening? Come for me.
Yeah, there's a lot of happening in the world, but we definitely got to talk about are Black women aggressive? Because, you know, you men.
Us men.
You men.
You men.
That's the thing I hear a lot going on, you know, buzzing around Black women. Like we don't stand up to the plate. We're just aggressive. You know, it makes us unattractive. All of these things. But I don't think there's no contextual.
Yeah, that was aggressive already. You already started off aggressive.
Let's start.
You say you men. You thingified us, objectified us.
Is that right? That's objectification.
Yeah, if I say you women.
It does.
Yeah, that, you know, I mean, I often talk about it sometimes, you know, and I love, look, let me be straight. You know, I'm not pointing the fingers at no one. So let's set that off with the preface. But I do think there's things that we have to learn. So yeah, go ahead, you men.
Well, like I said, I think the buzzword around Black women from our strength, I think, and that's something that has been used by the others, and as our strength is actually a weapon, but it's been something that has been a structural component of the Black community, and I think it should be celebrated. No, I know it should be celebrated,
but it has to be,
and it should be understood too. Why is it that way, and why Black women feel that we have to lead at some points, and not that we don't love men.
So strength, you're calling it strength. Is that what you're calling it?
I think a lot of our strengths are attributed to aggression.
Okay.
But it particularly is strength. And yes, you can be aggressive when you go too far. I'm not saying that some of us aren't aggressive. Okay. And I think a lot of us has been put in a position that makes us aggressive.
So a lot of us are put in position to make us aggressive.
Aggressive. We live in a society first that we're under attack all the time.
Okay.
And so from that attack, you do develop aggressions, you know, and you're being microly aggressive. People have microaggressions at your job and society.
Okay. So Queen.
What?
All right. What is your premise? I mean, I hear you going into a lot of you know, like excuses already. And I mean, I'm not saying they're not valid, but what I am saying is you haven't set your thoughts here. Are Black women aggressive? Because you're calling it strength. Is it strength? Is it aggression? Are they two different things? What are you talking about?
I'm saying both. I'm saying that strength can be aggressive if it's not understood. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That strength can be aggressive if it's not understood, but not that all strength is aggressive.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes,
So
Go ahead.
And is often misunderstood. I'm also hearing you
I
say.
think very much misunderstood. And since it's been weaponized by the others, then folks, it's now something that you hear all the time buzzing around Black women and our space in society.
Okay. That's your premise.
That's my premise.
All right, brother Kelly, peace and power. I'm gonna set my premise as well. I kind of agree with you to a point. I just want to be a little bit more clear. Are Black women aggressive?
No.
Yes. Are Black women always aggressive? No. Are Black women, is there times where there needs to be some aggression? Yes. Are there times where the aggression is unwarranted to the other party? Yes. So I want to start off, Queen, if I can, going into something I wrote in my dissertation. Check it out, Dr. Dennis Winkler. Dennis Winkler. I'm sorry, Ausar is not in there on my dissertation. I want to start off like this, if I can, if you will allow me to.
Drop it.
I want to read an excerpt from my dissertation. I didn't get the page number, but if you look under racism, the section on racism, it says racism, and I want to set the preface aware, because my notion is there is aggression, but I want to help build this idea where some of this is coming from. And I think it's important for us to understand that it exists, because many times we say it doesn't exist. But racism, I'm going to say racism has a great part to do with this aggression that we see. Yes. So if racism has a great part to do with the aggression that we see, we have to acknowledge that it exists. Racism is the belief that one's racial group is superior to others based on where they fall on the what I call pseudoscientific racial stratification system created by white supremacy. A construct that stratified human beings into races supported the notion that white people were superior to blacks and all other races, placing blacks on the bottom. According to a researcher, Bachelora, scholars have long-standing arguments of whether slavery brought about racism or if racism is an inextricable part of those living in this country. Racism has caused and perpetuates trauma in the lives of African Americans. Although the idea that supports these racist notions of superiority and inferiority have been proven unscientific, racist philosophies still reside in the hearts and minds of many people in the United States today. Consequently, this is the part where I really want to get to. As a consequence, African Americans experience race-based aggression in their daily lives. So again, let me go back. Due to racism, and racism itself is a form of aggression, which Black people experience in their daily lives, which they have learned to cope with in both adaptive and maladaptive forms. So what I'm saying is, in short, that Black people in America, in everywhere, but I'm specifically speaking about us in America, brothers and sisters, we have a lot of stress on us daily. And much of this stress comes from racism. And racism is aggression. Racism is violent. Racism is a problem. And I wanted to set the premise there. You got anything about that? I'm not finished, but go ahead.
I absolutely agree. I think that your armor sometimes is you create aggressive stance or aggressive attitude because of the microaggressions that you are experiencing daily.
Say that again. The last part.
I think that you create these, what I would say, your armor or these aggressive behaviors because of the microaggressions that you're experiencing daily in community and in society.
Just look at God. See, I'm going to go back into my dissertation, and this is what it says. Racism has evolved and often is not clearly visible, as it is deeply ingrained in American society and taught to the subsequent generations culturally.
Mm-hmm.
This is what research says. Pierce, a psychiatrist in 1970, who argued that racism is a mental disorder, stated the following about the evolution of racism. He says, most offensive actions are not gross and crippling. They are subtle and stunning. The enormity of the complications they cause can be appreciated only when one considers that these subtle blows are delivered incessantly. Even though any single negotiation of offense can in justice be considered of itself to be relatively innocuous, the cumulative effect to the victim and to the victimizer is of unmanageable consequence. Hence, the therapist is obliged to pose the idea that offensive mechanisms are usually microaggressions, as opposed to a gross, dramatic, obvious macroaggression. Microaggressions are considered to be small, racist acts that are not clearly racially motivated, which are not clearly racially motivated, doesn't mean that it's not racially motivated, but it's very ambiguous. Microaggressions take place whenever people of color engage with the white majority. You cannot not engage with the white majority when you're in this country, even if you do not see them on a daily basis, because white culture and white ideology is pervasive.
Yes, and their systems and everything.
Microaggressions create uncertainty and anxieties in African Americans and other ethnic racial minority groups. Microaggressions are deniable acts of racism that support pathological stereotypes, as you were speaking about earlier, inequitable social norms, power differentials, and communicate exclusion. However, it is important to note that microaggressions are many times unconscious acts due to them being culturally inculcated into the offenders. So
break that down, Don.
So white people don't know no better. Many times. Sometimes they know a lot. Racism is taught and it is learned. White people literally are oblivious many times to the microaggressions that they put on you because they're entitled. They're taught that you don't really, that you don't matter, that they are superior, even if they would outright say, I don't believe these things. But it is so embedded in the culture that they don't even have to know they're doing it, because this is what it is to be an American. It is to be racist. To be an American is synonymous with being a racist. To be an American is synonymous with being blind, deaf, dumb, blind, and not considerate of the oppression that you inflict on other people.
Whoa.
White people don't even know they're white. And we're going to get it back. Family, hold up. We're just getting started. We're going to get into whether black women are aggressive or not. But I can't have any conversation without setting a foundation about where this comes from. Because I'm not going to sit up here and deny, like many of us do, that this aggression exists. It exists. It clearly exists. Men, and I used to really take up for the women, but I have to not really, I have to really look at it. These things are showing up in our relationships, but where are they coming from?
Yes.
And many times we take on this pain, and we have to cope. As I said earlier, in my dissertation, it says many times we have learned to cope with this level of oppression and aggression, both adaptive and maladaptive. And we have to talk about the maladaptive aspect of it.
Tell us what that means. Like, break that down, like adaptive versus maladaptive, because some of us don't know what that is.
Okay. Somebody get a dictionary out. Please help me out. I don't know what it means either. But so maladaptive means that okay, let's start with adaptive. Adaptive is like when you're operating in, let's say, whatever in life, and you're adapting to it. That means that you're doing it in a healthy way. So let's say there's some stress here, right? So you go for a walk when you need stress, right?
Right.
Let's say that when I'm frustrated, I say, honey, let's sit down and talk. That's adaptive. That, you know, let's to help me feel heard so I can cope with what's going on. Let's talk about it. But now if I'm screaming at you and telling you this and telling you that, I'm trying to adapt with the stress that I have going on, but I don't have the skills to not hurt the other person.
Got it.
But I mean, and even, you know, and not to say that people won't hurt from conversations. That you and I had a conversation about this before. But the thing is, even on an adaptive way of hearing feedback, even sometimes we take any type of feedback due to the pressure that we experience as an attack. You know, it becomes an attack. So, you know, so maladaptive would be you'll cope with something like smoking or drinking or, you know, whatever it is. But what happens is, it soothes you in the moment, like arguing with somebody. It feels so good. You feel like you got power. But in the long term, you really destroy your relationships. If you're drinking to cope with pain, in the short term, it feels good. It releases you some. But in the long term, you're creating a habit and cirrhosis of the liver and all types of biological issues. So that's more.
That's real. I like it. You're right. That's real. And Ja put that the maladaptive, what you just said, in like a definition, and that's amazing. Like not providing adequate or appropriate adjustment to the environment or situation, and just like you said with alcohol, using that as a coping strategy, and it creates other issues, addiction, sickness, issues.
Yeah, that's interesting that he put that up there, and then it has the same exact one of the examples that I gave. Thanks,
it's so amazing. Yeah.
So just to kind of finish this piece off here. Let's go back. Let me just go back here. Microaggressions are deniable acts of racism that support pathological stereotypes, inequitable social norms, power differentials. This is what we're experiencing every day, y'all. This is what we're experiencing at work. This is what we're experiencing when we're not even employed. You know, because now it becomes your problem. That, you know, that's a microaggression. It's Black people's problem. You know, and communicate exclusion, unconscious acts. Let me see, exclusion. However, it is important to note that microaggressions are many times unconscious acts due to them being culturally inculcated into the offenders. Nonetheless, the offended are negatively impacted as microaggressions are strongly associated with internalizing problems, stress, and negative affect. And some people say to Black women lots, why you not smiling? Why you ain't smiling? You know, like, I mean, like some Black women were like, what the hell do I have to smile about right now? I'm here with you and your racist system and this racist ass job and this thing here. And sometimes we learn to smile in these places, in these situations to survive, which is in a way to adapt and cope. But then we go home and we just don't feel like doing that no more.
Yeah.
So, you know, what you got for me? I just wanted to set it there. I know that was a bit.
That was a good setup, and I love that because when we talk about aggressive with Black women, we don't talk about context and why these behaviors are so present and so quickly. Like it's like you defer to them quickly. Because you're always in this state almost of, I would say you're always in a state of arousal, if you want to say it like that, because you're always feeling attacked in some way. And so when it comes out, it just comes out. So I love what you said. Kelly said, but do some Black women deal with white supremacy at work or different spaces and take out on some Black men when they get home? Absolutely. I would think that, and so does Black men. We all are dealing with this. We got. Hold up. Let me just finish. I just think we genderize stuff, and it's all of us experiencing it. But go ahead.
Hold up. I'm going back to the hold up. Hold up. Now this is about Black women.
Kelly.
Today, this is about Black women. we will have the conversation around black men, but we decided to talk about black women. And the reason why why I'm pointing this out is funny. I think we should talk about all, but really sometimes we do that when we're in relationship with one another. And then it's like, you left the car door open. Why did you leave the car door open? You left the car door open 5 times before. No, now that's called deflecting. Let's talk about what's going on now. Let's not talk about, the other situations, right? That becomes a defense mechanism that we often utilize in our own relationships even. So
Kelly said, but I thought it was about black women. That's what he said.
Oh, that's what he said? That's what I'm saying too. And I love my sisters, but the reality is I am arguing, and I maintain that there's a lot for them to be frustrated about. But it doesn't give us each other license to continue to hurt each other, because we'll never liberate ourselves unless we can really identify and address these issues in each other. And we're going to talk about men. I can talk about men way better than I can talk about women. You understand? Mm-hmm. So we're going to talk about whatever the topic is about black men. Look, I'm going to talk about that. And I don't even have to really feel like I have to be on my eggshells or what have you. You know what I'm saying?
Well, Ashe, Kelly, our partner, it is about women, and I got to take it. But a lot of times, I got to take it because I want to throw it on the black men. But it is about women. So Ashe, pardon me.
So I want to then talk about anger versus aggression, because I think we really have to talk about these things, right? So anger is an emotion, right? And people often get them confused. Anger is an emotion. It's a feeling. It's, aggression is a behavior or action taken that is hostile, destructive, and or violent. It can be physical assault, throwing out. These are just some examples. Throwing objects, property damage, self-harming behaviors, or verbal threats or insults. So if you ask the question, how many sisters have you heard that do these type of things? In relationships even, or when they're frustrated with something. And I'm not saying brothers don't do this, but today we're talking about our sisters. Yeah. And not, just to be clear, I'll tell you men do it as well. Yeah. So we do these things, right? But again, moving forward, I put here oppression and aggression. Let's be clear that aggression is sometimes needed. And that systems that are violent themselves have found ways to weaponize normal responses to oppression.
Absolutely.
So sometimes when you see this thing at the job and they like, look at her aggressive ass, excuse my language, but she's under this oppressive system, which we have to placate to. And what happens is, because of the placation, we often find ourselves taking it back home. On the children, on the husband. It messes with our sexual relationship. It messes with dinner even. It messes with lots of things. My father said he don't want no meal unless it's cooked with love. You understand? So he's all about energy. So, even I knew brothers who were so frustrated that when they got home, they would say, brother, I don't want to go home and be arguing, I say, well, brother, I told a brother one day, brother, don't even think about that on your way home. But even if it does happen, promise yourself that you won't respond to it. Because lots of times, you won't respond. I mean, you'll respond, but not react. How about that? Respond to your wife. Respond to your mate. Because that aggression, she is speaking something. She is saying something. Yeah. She is articulating something. She is saying, I'm tired. She's saying, I'm frustrated. She is saying, work was hard. She's saying, pay me some attention. She is saying, I'm tired. Like
I'm hurt. I'm attacked.
I'm all of that. Yeah. So maybe I need to talk, but so sometimes pay attention to those cues. It's difficult many times when we haven't learned to regulate our own emotions. But I said many times we are led to submit and placate to oppressive systems that ultimately lead us to being aggressive at home, within our families and our communities at large.
That's a word. That's an absolute word, because you feel so attacked at work and in life. When you come home, you let it out. Like, I'm tired. I'm angry. and I get it. And what you're saying is true. I mean, I'm a Black woman,
So
I definitely agree with that.
I don't know what you have, Queen, but I can turn over to you a little bit. I can keep rocking. What you
No,
want?
I'm ready. I'm ready to move on. But we needed that introduction from you, because a lot of times the aggressive nature of Black women is now dealing in relationships that we're unattractive, that we're hard to deal with. That, you want to be with a woman that values men and not a woman that fights you or doesn't hold you down. And so, we want the ride or die, but when the ride gets too hard, we want to throw the car away. So that's what. So Ja, hit him. Hit
So
him
I
with
know,
this next
ask
clip.
that. You want to answer Kelly's question?
Oh, okay. Wait a minute. Do you think sometimes some Black women might be disappointed in some Black men for not providing enough and have to summon it to the white corporate world? I think that, yes, we expect Black men to provide, but I think a lot of times we understand that we've been put in a place to be the provider, and that causes issues in the relationship because of how Black women have been escalated in society. That is intentional, and I think we play into that, and we fight about positioning in the family because of money and all of the capitalistic gains. But yes, I think we might be disappointed sometimes when Black men don't understand our the journey that we have to go through to get that money. We're being stripped of everything at work to get those six figures. So when we come home, we might need to be seen.
Yeah, and that becomes part of the issue too, though. That and what causes, from my standpoint, a lot of this stress is that we bought into the system, and we bought into careerism, and we bought into certain ideologies. The perfect white family with the picket fence around the house on the hill type of thing.
Yeah.
And not really honestly looking at our conditions. I would argue that many sisters, you're saying that we're reflective of that, but I also think many times that they've been put in that position. I don't think they're always that reflective. I don't think that lots of people are that reflective as you are. I think you understand white supremacy and racism, and a lot of others do. And some of us have a very surface understanding of racism, but we don't understand how racism shows up. And that's why it's important for us to explain.
She just said that in her comment.
Okay.
Yeah, my mom was like that, mistreated at work, lots of racism, etc. And she would come home after dealing with all of that and woo.
Yeah. And I think if we really understood this to a more deeper level, we wouldn't allow that to happen. We would guard against that. We would work and work to manage our emotions and our responses and coping skills in a more adaptive way versus a maladaptive way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that Ja, run the clip, bro.
Men and white women. What's that about?
Oh, it's a little low.
I think the majority of what we see is men choosing women who are willing to do for them what needs to be done or what they need to feel within a relationship. She probably waits on him hand and foot, gives him sound advice, talks to him respectfully, and the list goes on and on and on. What we don't talk about in our community is the war between men and women. That's why we're here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? People that look like me and you who don't treat each other or show up for each other the way that we need to. And women all day long. I have clips in my phone, even from other podcasts and other things that go viral. You literally have women that look like you, Queen, that are saying, we don't need men. We don't need it.
Isn't that crazy?
But then the same women that say, well, we don't need y'all, you get mad when they go elsewhere.
Facts.
But I don't hear people going crazy.
What's the thing with basketball men and white women? What's that about? People in sports and white women.
I think a majority of what we see is men choosing women who are willing to do for them what needs to be done or what they need to feel within a relationship. She probably waits on him hand and foot, gives him sound advice, talks to him respectfully, and the list goes on and on and on.
All right, Ja, thank you. You hear that, Ja? So now we're being compared to women who do not have the same path as us, who do not have the same attack as us, who do not go through the microaggressions that we go through every day. and then we're supposed to be able to do the same, to perform the same way they do in supporting Black men. And I think that's disingenuous and is not contextual.
Yeah. I'm pardon. My phone was my mic was on mute. I think there's an issue over all around though. When we've bought into the system, why not compare you? I mean, what else am I compare you against? If you have bought into the system, I've bought into the system, we have nothing else to compare you against. That's why I'm setting up this conversation that we have to tease this out a bit, I think, and I want to be clear. I want to really, and I do want to paint this picture that there's a level of aggression that we need to deal with in our community when we're at home that is being weaponized at work and in institutions, like we see with the sisters who are being fired left and right for doing this. I'm not saying they all haven't done, none of them have done anything that warrants their firing. However, I do know there's an attack on Black women. And if that person was not a Black woman, likely she would still have her job. You understand? And I'm saying, and it's attacks on Black women who do their best to be upright, even. You understand? And so I do want to make the distinction. I think there's a level of aggression many times, not all women, not every woman, or what have you, but that we do see in our relationships that we need to really deal with. And I think part of the reason is, one, we're still, okay, so two, what else is he going to expect from her if this is the ideology that we have bought into? And what else is she going to expect of him if she's also bought into that ideology? He needs to be that man to do all these things and do all those things. And she's not taking consideration white supremacy and racism. He's not taking this in consideration white supremacy and racism. So we're just being tricked.
But they're basketball stars. So they have, they're on a whole different level. They have money, they have resources, so they expect a sort of women. That's what he's saying. He's a basketball player.
Well, yeah. So again, he expects something different because he has an ideology that white supremacy has taught him he needs, or let me just say, not even taught him. It's just he doesn't understand the situation.
Yeah.
He doesn't even understand why the Black woman is like that. If he would have understood why a lot of Black women are like this, then maybe he would make it his duty to be with a Black woman, because due to he understanding the plight of our community. I'm not saying who should marry and what people should marry, but I do understand that I personally feel that I need to be obligated to the Black woman because I understand the pain that is inflicted upon her daily, which has her feeling this way. And lots of times we don't even understand this. And it's not giving her a pass to say that she doesn't need to do some work, because once we start doing the work and understanding that the system is against us, and we really continue to study and really continue to understand this oppressive system, it gives us a better ability to cope and operate in this system, and to take away some of these dreams that we have, these fairy tales that we have, because these fairy tales are put in place to keep us oppressed in the sense, rather than knowing that you've been oppressed. So can I go somewhere with this? If we can talk about the power and control, if you can bring the house of abuse up, Brother Jai, and I think that we can really look at this, the house of abuse. One of the issues, Sister Queen, when we're asking this question, are Black women aggressive, lies in white supremacy again. And this house here, the house of abuse, it's a really good house, right? But let's look at it for a bit. It says power at the top and control. And this is what's keeping the house together, and feelings on the bottom. This is what's keeping the house together, right? So if we want to ask, are Black women aggressive, or at least aggressive sometimes, then we have to ask these questions. Let's go into the different rooms. What does physical aggression or abuse look like? It looks like pushing, hitting, shoving, grabbing. Okay. Do Black women do this ever?
I'm sure.
Okay, intimidation, glares, throwing items, grunting. Does Black women ever do this as a means of maintaining power or control inside the house or the relationship?
Of course.
Do they use their children as pawns?
Yeah.
Threaten to take the children away? Not all Black women, but I'm saying do some.
Yes.
And many have experiences, right? So these are men who really experience this. So so now let's go into the room of verbal and emotional. Do they ever do name calling?
Of course.
Yelling, belittling, withdrawing, isolation, social isolation. Now, see, let me skip this. So let me go into it. Economic, when they have more economics, I hear brothers often say, look, this is my house.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of brothers are really frustrated. They also talk about, let me skip to another room, but you don't have to go back. So there's a religious room, right? And how many women or men, let's stay with the women though, how many use Bible verses or any type of literature to really get that man in shape?
Absolutely. Well, yes.
Right? So right. This is, now let's go here. So this next house is male privilege, right? Notice a man's home is his castle, right? Is that right?
Right.
Whose house is it? Is it the man's house in our community or the woman's house? In our community.
It's the man's house.
It's the man's house, right? Is that true all the time?
Not all the time.
I mean, my man Tyran just said, I'm mixing conversations up. But many times, I had a conversation earlier with Brother Tyran, and he was talking about men are typically good. Lots of times they just have their cave, and the rest of the house becomes the women.
Mm.
But there is this idea about so anyway, let me sexual with how. Okay, let me show you why I wanted to show this. This is a very Eurocentric framework for what an abusive partner looks like. It talks about male privilege, and a lot of these things or these behaviors are often contributed towards men. Abuse is only seen, for the most part, in our research in our research literature, what is lack of research literature, I may call it, or feminist literature, is that men are the perpetrators. But let's go back down. Let me read something that Tommy Carey says, a great scholar. Tommy Carey, the book, he has a book called The Man Knot, and what he talks about in the Black community that abuse. Let me just read it here. Bidirectional abuse and murder has been documented amongst Black people since 1930s. We must deal with conflict resolution and female perpetration. So that's what he had. So females also are perpetrators. But if you read Eurocentric literature, only men can be abusers. And often men are, if a woman calls the police, many times, it doesn't even matter. Or if the man calls the police, he often ends up in jail.
Mm-hmm.
Because the way that our minds have been wired, that we ignore aggression by women.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not saying that she is hitting him. We are not saying she is raping him. But if she is doing any of those other things, those are also forms of abuse. Those are also aggressive behaviors. But a lot of those things tend to become very okay in our society. And if a man gets upset or now tries to respond, now you acting like a little boy. You acting like a little beat. I can hit you and you should just stand there. I can talk about your mother and I know how to hurt you, but the man is supposed to just sit there or argue with her back. But many times men are not emotionally equipped to deal with all of that. So are black women aggressive? I'm going to say there is aggression that we need to talk about.
Okay.
And the reason why we often do not talk about it, because racism, white supremacy makes it more popular to talk about white men and white women issues, but not really look at black people issues, but also have done a great job of demonizing or overlooking black men issues in general. And it is not very popular in academia to talk about black men's issues. And if you talk about black men's issues, you have a major issue with black feminists. And I'm not saying black feminists don't have some good stuff. They do.
But you said this was about black women. That's what you said.
What are you saying?
I said you said this was about black women. And I definitely believe that black men issues are being overlooked.
No, this is why. No, I am talking about black women. I am still talking about black women. I want to be clear. When I say the reason why black women's issues are not being women's aggression is not being talked about is because white supremacy, racism, white frameworks they're not always applicable to our community. Hence, the only one that can be talked about in our community mainly is this black aggressive male. And we know there's black male aggression. I'm talking about the reason why we overlook black women aggression.
Got it. I understand that. I didn't understand that, so I'm glad you broke that down. That makes sense. That makes sense. And like my sister here, she says, shit, some white women do, yet we don't. They do this. I guess she's saying they do the same thing, yet we don't hear all white women are angry, all white women, etc. It feels like in this society, the same when it comes to black women is generalized to all black women.
Mm-hmm.
And I get that. I think so. I think anything totally with black people, we're all the same. We're a monolith in everyone else, in everyone's thought that we act the same and we are the same. And I don't think that's true neither. Yeah.
And that's that level I'm talking about right there. Yeah. Right. That systemic level oppression that is real, that black women on a societal level looked at as villains, aggressive, and all of that when they should be. And sometimes they find themselves placating to society, and they're being demonized for standing up for themselves, and demonized for even some of the traumas. I just got to keep it real. The traumas that we have as a people, we're going to respond sometimes to race, what we perceive racist. And sometimes we're not going to, and many times they're going to use our responses against us. So that's why I attempt to help us see how these triggers exist. These racial triggers exist, and they use them against us.
Yep.
Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't respond to violence with violence ever, but I'm saying that we have to be very tactical in how we respond.
That's big. That's true. I love it. Love it. Huh. All right, John, hit this next one. This is going to smooth it all out. Put my brother Kevin up here.
We can't hear him.
Exhibited masculine. When a woman is left unprotected, she has to exhibit masculinity. For a woman to do business, she has to exhibit masculine energy. Feminine energy is not pussy or gay like most men like be, man, he feminine, that's pussy. Feminine energy is nurturing and caring. And that's one thing that I had to learn because I was big on the top, I'm tough all the time. The masculine and the feminine is different. But at the same time, I know the difference between raising a man and raising a woman. Now, my woman not going to conduct herself like that because I'm going to provide a safe place for her to exhibit femininity. She not going to have to be tough because she got me, she got a man. When the woman is left unprotected, she has to exhibit masculinity. For a woman to do business, she has to exhibit masculinity.
So I think a lot of black women do not feel safe. And not being safe
Mhm.
brings on these armors
Mhm.
and having to be aggressive because we are not safe.
Absolutely.
I really feel that.
Mhm. Well, and I appreciate that. I think, however, we have to, once we acknowledge that, we have to then do the work. Because even I hear what my brother's saying. I agree with him to some degree. I mean, a great degree. Where I differ is that that's not always. Well, I'm not even gonna say I differ. That's not an easy process always. Because see, when we've been through so much hurt and pain, things that look like they're gonna hurt us, although they're not gonna hurt us, we're gonna respond to in aggressive manners. And because we're talking about Black women today, not anybody else, right?
Mhm.
Black women also do that as well, and so even if she's in a safe home, that's not, and if she hasn't, and if she's hurt and maybe let's say dealing with unresolved trauma or traumas, she has to do the self work to feel safe. A man alone cannot help you feel safe. I mean, cannot make you feel safe. He can help you, but you also have to be willing to do the work yourself. And you
Mm.
have to we have to be honest with ourselves and identify that.
Mm.
And that's why I'm saying we have to be real that yes, we do exhibit aggression. If you don't admit it, then it's going to continuously play out.
So wait a minute, Da. You said something poignant, because part of being a woman is, and what I hear so much is being attached to men. Like,
Mm-hmm.
why you don't have a man?
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you don't have a man at a certain age, something's wrong with you. It's all,
Mm-hmm.
and if you don't act right, that's why you don't have no man.
Mm-hmm.
And you're saying that for us to feel safe, it does not fall with being with a man.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of us aren't with certain men because of even being with them, we don't feel safe. I think that's one of the biggest thing with women
Mm-hmm.
is feeling supported and safe,
Mm-hmm.
especially Black women when we feel attacked in everything that we do.
Mm-hmm.
And so coming home or being in a relationship, it is about, like my sister said, we want to have a soft place to fall. We
Mm-hmm.
want someone to lean on, and we want to be able to cry without judgment, with just support.
Mm-hmm.
And but oftentimes when we lean, if there's no one there, we lean back, so we fall, and
Mm-hmm.
we fall right back into those behaviors of strength. One might call aggressive because we don't have a place to feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying? So why is it
Yeah.
not with a man?
Well, that's what I'm speaking to actually. I think that's a fault. That's where I'm disagreeing with the brother, and even anybody who has that idea.
Mm.
You're looking for someone to provide safety for you, but if you don't do the work on yourself, there'll never be a place that you're going to feel safe.
Mm.
You at that point you're externalizing the work. You're saying that you have to make me feel safe. And I'm not saying the brother doesn't have to do his part in providing that safety. As I spoke about it earlier, I think it's very important that brothers and sisters and everyone involved in relationships help provide each other safety. But even with the most safe person or the most protective person, if I don't do self work, that person will also become a unsafe place. That person will feel unsafe. It'll feel like a threat. In fact, a lot of relationships start out where this person provides me safety. I feel safe. And because of my lack of work, all it takes is one thing. Like he forgets to call or something that one night. And this is out of order. But this happened the last time in my last relationship and nothing went down in this particular case. But now you're juxtaposing that to that last relationship. And now you've gotten to a point where you are in a frenzy and elevated in a crisis state, thinking this man has cheated on you or what have you. This is just an example.
Yeah.
And now you become a different person to him. and now he doesn't know what to do with you.
You got to check you. You're saying you got to look at you. Yeah.
We have to realize we have to heal our trauma. Somebody can help you, but you have to realize and admit that you are easily, or you're triggered. You have triggers to your trauma. And then when you get triggered, we're not always using our brain, and we become very, we become very controlling, and we become, if you put the house back up a second or whatever, but you can look at all those tactics that are being used, power and control. So you start doing things like physical abuse, pushing, hitting, shoving, grabbing. You intimidate the person. You use the children against them. You start calling them names and all these type of things because you want to maintain your relationship. You want him to, you just want to feel safe again. But the problem is, that doesn't, you might have a feeling due to your unresolved trauma.
Trauma is everything here. That's what, that's like the code word. Like if you're not dealing with the trauma, you're going to get triggered. And you have to do self-work no matter how safe you are, how unsafe, it still starts with you. That's what I'm hearing from you.
Yeah, and let me be clear before we really close this out. And the reason why I wanted to show this thing on two levels, because I hear a lot of Black women say, "Are we not aggressive? That's just how we are, and the rest of the world." And I think there's some truth to that. There's some truth to that. But there's also some aggression there that makes it very difficult at times to deal with Black women. I'm just going to be honest. And Black men got their own thing. We'll talk about that. And you hear, I kind of want to talk about Black men too, but because it's not easy for me to talk about Black women, but
without talking about Black men,
because that's typically what I do, right? Yeah. So there is some things there, and and the men feel like they're not being heard. We have to, again, to a show to go back to a show we did a few weeks ago. We spoke about how women can thingify men. Men become objects of women, and and I can say what I want to say to him. I can pull his hand, and I can do things to men that he could never do to me.
Yeah.
So I think that if we don't really look at ourselves, and I'm not saying Black women are bad. I am not saying any of that. I am saying that this is a response due to our upbringing and because due to the oppressive systems we find ourselves in. And again, as I said, we all have work to do, including men, but this is about women today. And lots of times I hear sisters try to parallel or juxtapose, well, they think Black women are this and that, and da. And all that aggression is going on. And all those triggers are going on, and you're ignoring that there is some validity to that. And there is also some validity that you're aggressive at work. But who says that it's not a time and a place for you to be aggressive sometimes at work?
Yeah, you might need to be aggressive. That's true. But you still got to do the work with the trauma.
Well, or maybe you need to let them all have it. But if your goal is to keep that job, to be tactical, then maybe we have to learn how to be tactical by regulating our emotions and understanding that there is a part of me that act this way. And one thing, I'll just be honest, I gotta at least put this in there. One thing about white women, I gotta be honest, I gotta put it in there.
Drop it.
White people in general, especially white women, have learned to be very, very, very soothing and very calm.
Their role.
Say it again.
That's their role.
That's their role, but also it's very passive aggressive. Even and many times we didn't even get to a certain. We're gonna have to pick this conversation up again.
Yeah, we got to do part two. You know it.
What white women master is bullshit. Excuse my language. Ooh. What I mean is they know how to smile at you. They know how to say how you doing and all of that, but still stab you in your back. I'm not saying all white women. I know some ones that are not like that.
They're the master of that.
But they're as Dr. Like several people say, especially like one of the things I have done in my past history as I have been a realtor, and white women in real estate
Me too.
Coming in doing that smiling, but they will cut your throat. They will do all of that. And this is what I've experienced from white women. They know how to play the part, and they will stab you in the back. They play chess. But I also noticed about white women is if you look at that movie, what is that? It was in Appalachia. What is the movie? It was in Chicago. It's not a movie, but it's a Netflix thing where the family, they were laundering money. What was it called?
Got 4 minutes, bro.
Hey, John, you know what I'm talking about? They were laundering money in Chicago.
Shameless.
No, it wasn't Shameless. It was something else. But nonetheless,
4 minutes, bro.
Ozar.
Okay.
Ozar. If y'all know Ozar, the white woman, she was a beast. She would go in front of the public as a politician with all the straight face, the smile, but she was so corrupt behind. And what I'm saying is they had their stuff, but they've learned to do the fake smile. And it's also, that fake smile is also killing them. Believe it.
It's also what?
Killing them. They know it's not working for them. White people have learned that they have to keep their shit. That's what they say. They have to learn to show up in a way that looks perfect and looks this and looks pristine and all this, where they want to choke somebody. And that's why you have white feminists, rebelling, But the problem is a lot of black women utilize the same feminist talking points, which ultimately vilifies our black men. And we can pick up. It ultimately vilifies our black men because we're using the same standards against an oppressed man and a man who's quote unquote an oppressor. So that's when we use things like intersectionality and all these things wrong, because we're now putting black men in the same privileged place as a white man. So that and not understanding this. I'm not going to talk about black.
But I think that happens with black women too. We're being compared to women who first of all don't walk the same path as us. They don't have the same reality as us. And I think a lot of times when we get into relationships and they're coddled, when white women are coddling black men, they expect us to be, and we're not coddled, and we're not taught to coddle to the point we're taught to survive and make it happen.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But that's what we're taught to do. So
now at the end of the day, we have to learn to do something and cope more adaptively. That is the point. We have to cope more adaptively. That whether we men or women, we have to cope adaptively.
All right, one last one, and because we 3 minutes in, just hit us with this last one, Ja, because this is going to bring it all up together. Ja?
People are so used to others being indirect and phony that clear and direct communication sounds aggressive. Facts. People are so used to others being indirect and phony that clear and direct communication sounds aggressive. Facts.
So he said facts his own self.
People are so used to others being indirect and phony that clear and direct communication sounds aggressive. Facts.
Yo, so
people are so used to others being indirect and phony.
I agree with that.
That clear and direct communication sounds aggressive. Facts.
Can we stop him?
People are so.
I agree with him to a point, because I work with plenty of people who use that same line, and they mix up what is aggressive, what is what is assertive, and that's pretty much what he's talking about, right? Yeah. So many times we say, I speak my mind. I'm just being honest, and I'm just being this, and really we call that being assertive. When we have to put a little. It's a way. When to be assertive means that you respect yourself by expressing how you feel, and also respect the person in delivering it in a way, although it may not feel comfortable for them, but you do it in a way that you don't disrespect them. To be aggressive, lots of people are very aggressive, and they just saying that they are being assertive or what have you. And they say, like being assertive is like, I feel like this, and this is what I'm noticing. But being aggressive, it becomes more like I'm just telling you how I feel, and I'm just telling you what I just speak my mind, and all of that. you know, and don't get mad at me because I'm assertive. Don't get mad. Like, so like that's a level of aggression there. I don't, you know, I mean, we no, some of us are assertive and that's an uncomfortable feeling, but most of us don't know how to be assertive. I'm just going to be honest with you. And most of the people, a lot of the people, I'm going to say many, I'm probably going to say most people who say that they're being assertive when they come into my room, they're really being aggressive or even passive aggressive. And passive aggressive is, you know, they're being very like smiling in your face, but they're really doing passive hints and all these type of aggressive little things and undertones and things of that nature. So yeah, I think that we need to work in that area.
Yeah, we got to do a part 2. We've not settled this conversation. We're going to add Black men in. We do this every second and fourth Wednesday, guys. So we here in a week and a half, we'll be back. Listen, like, share, subscribe. Again, like, share, subscribe, black up the algorithm. We want to grow. Doc in the Box is popping. Thanks everyone for coming in tonight. We deuces. We out of here. Deuces.
Peace, family.
Peace.
Peace.
When you claim your Africanness, you're going to get your mind back. Black and I'm proud. Black and I'm proud. When you claim your Africanness, you're going to get your mind back. Black and I'm proud. Claim your Africanness. Black and I'm proud. I'm telling you. When you claim your Africanness, you're going to get your mind back. Black and I'm proud. Claim your Africanness. Black and I'm proud. I'm telling you. When you claim your Africanness, you're going to get your mind back. Black and I'm proud. Claim your Africanness. Black and I'm proud. I'm telling you. Become a part of it. Embrace it. 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 When you claim your Africanness, you're going to get your mind back. Black and I'm proud. Claim your Africanness. Black and I'm proud. I'm telling you. When you claim your Africanness, you're going to get your mind back. Black and I'm proud. Claim your Africanness. Black and I'm proud. I'm telling you. When you claim your Africanness, you're going to get your mind back. Black and I'm proud.